Hello there, welcome to this video in which I'm going to take you through section A of All the Things You Are. And you're going to be able to play it like that pretty quickly because I'm going to show you each of the components of it in terms of theory and technique. So let's jump straight into it. It is in the key of A flat. So you need to know A flat because the melody and the chord progression is based on that. So you have to get A flat into your brain, into your eyes, and know it on the piano. Also, E flat, because that's going to be the second part, which I didn't play in that intro, but it's exactly the same thing, but in the key of A flat. Now, in jazz, the chord progressions are the most important thing. And often they follow the notes of a major scale. And that is exactly what happens here. So in the key of A flat, the chord progression is an infamous 6-2-5-1. That simply means that a chord is based on the degree, or the note from a scale, 6, which is F in the key of A flat. So there's a chord built from the 6th note. And then there's a chord built from the 2nd, a chord built from the 5th, and one from the 1st note, the 1st degree of the major scale. And the same thing's going to happen in E flat. It's actually a mirror copy. It's simply a copy of what you did in A flat, you'll do in E flat. It's quite useful, really. So, the chord types are, and this is what you need to drill first. First, you drill the number sequence, 6, 2, 5, 1, and then it's going to go to 4. So we'll just stop there first. So, the first chord is F minor 7. F, A flat, C, E flat. I have videos explaining the theory, but we don't want to go off course too much. Then it's going to go to the 2 chord, which is B flat minor 7. So B flat, D flat, F, A flat. I'm just doing the same thing with both hands. The whole piano becomes that chord. Chord 3 is the 5 chord, which is on E flat. So E flat, G, B flat, D flat. And then 1 chord is 1, which is a major 7. So A flat, C, E flat, G. Same thing with both hands. And I'm using the pedal as well sometimes. And then the 4 chord is D flat. So I'll just stop there first because there's one little weird bit that happens afterwards. And I'll show you the melody. But now look how the melody is based on A flat. Now it changes, but we're going to talk about that at the end. But for that most part, it's in the notes of A flat. It's so very easy. So let me just put the two together and you'll hopefully be able to play along with that now. What I'm doing is putting a bass note in the left hand with my little finger. Now here, we're just going to go to, it ends on a C, major 7. Now, there's lots of theory and complicated ways to talk about this, but very basically, because you're remembering everything in a master key and numbers from the major scale, we're playing the 3rd of A flat. So it's landing on the 3rd. But chords like to be arrived on from, often, their 5 chord. And the 5 of C is a G. And that's what is happening. So it's going to go 6, 2, 5, 1, 4, and then the 5 of C. I'll show you a fancy chord in a minute, but G7. So that's not in the key of A flat anymore, it's just the 5 of C, which is the 3rd of A flat. It's not the correct chord type that it should be, but that's what makes the song interesting to the ear. It's breaking the rules a little bit. So you'll remember that song, as you'd remember any jazz song, just with numbers. 6, 2, 5, 1, 4, and then 5, 1 to the 3rd, which might sound like a bit of a mouthful, but it really isn't, because most jazz songs are built in that way, almost exactly the same, just the melody is different. So it's going to go with that. Now try and play along with the numbers. Here I played a root note and the minor, because it's quite nice, and I can play it at the same time, but it's even nicer if you open it. So if you can't reach that, then it's called a minor 10. Then it sounds nicer to open it anyway. 4, 5 of the 3. Now here I'm playing a nice chord. You put that in. So this is a G chord. You can just remember this one chord for this one piece. We don't need to get too complicated. G7, it's a 5 chord, so it's a 7th chord type, dominant 7. And a nice way to play a dominant 7 chord is to put the 7 on the bottom. You just need to remember these shapes. You don't need to work it out when you're playing because you've already studied them and you know them. And I have videos on these kinds of chords all over my channel. You put the 7 at the bottom, which is F, the 3 in the middle, and the 6 on the top. But the 6 is actually a 13. That's what makes this a 13 chord. Just remember that as a simple theory. It's called a voicing. 7 on the bottom, 3 in the middle, 6 on the top. 7 and 6 makes 13. That's one kind of cheesy way of saying it's a 13 chord. So you're going to play that. If you want to take it further, just so you can sound good when you're playing it, your middle finger in this case can play the A, which is a 9. G is the 1 or the 8. A is the 9. It gets a bit complicated perhaps, but they're just numbers from the major scale. Remember that shape. Then you're landing on C major 7, and you can resolve that chord type to a 6. So you put the 6 on top. So I'll play all that again. See, that's quite nice. Now, the amazing thing about this song, why it's such a good beginner jazz song, is that you do exactly the same thing in the key of E flat. So that's 6, 2, 5, 1, 4, and then a 5, 1, where the 1 this time is the third. So that third in E flat will be G. Its 5 is D. So at the end of the part, when we get there, it's going to be a D7 to G major 7, resolved to a 6, because G is a third of E flat. So you basically have done everything in A flat, 6, 2, 5, 1, 4, and then a 5, 1 to the third, and you just do it all again in E flat. But the amazing thing is that the 6th of E flat is C. So you're on C major 7, maybe you resolved it to a 6. Now you just completely forget the key of A flat and do it all in E flat. So you change from C major 7, or C6, to a C minor 7, and that becomes the beginning of section A2, let's say. So let's just do it slowly. Key of E flat. The chord is C minor 7 because it's the 6th of E flat. And remember, everywhere is C minor 7. Everywhere is now the 6th. The chord 2 is F minor 7. It doesn't matter what inversion you play these chords, it doesn't matter at all. 6, 2, 5 is B flat 7, so B flat, D, F, A flat. And then 1, of course, E flat. You can resolve it to that. Then it's going to go up a 4, which is to A flat major 7. Just coincidence that it's the same as the original key, it's just up a 4th from E flat. Then to the 5 of the third of E flat. So the third of E flat is a G, its 5 is a D. And then landing on that 3 and resolving it. And you'll play the melody by ear, but you can work it out. Of course, you can follow the lead sheet, but this is how you learn these songs away from the piano. And then when you come to the piano, you can play it because you've memorized the sequence. So from E flat. That's it. I'll just play them both together and you can see what's happening. So section A1 is in A flat, exactly the same thing, just a tiny little bit of melody difference in E flat. So. Now, I may have done some things there that you might have questions about, so I encourage you to ask them below. But that is how you learn a song in jazz. You just get the number sequence, play the chords, pop the melody on top. And of course, you want to listen to the original, listen to some other versions, and you'll be away. Then, of course, you can add the improvisation and make fancier chords, but that should be enough for you to get going on that song. And if you'd like a part 2, a bit more complicated, then I'll do that. There you go. As always, likes, comments, subscriptions are always welcome. Have a look at my video management website, Waterpianism Syllabus. That's Patreon, all my playlists, and I'll see you in the next video. All the best. Bye for now.